The girl was standing too close to the road. Honestly, she should thank me.
In Victoria Island, where power rides behind tinted glass and the poor walk beside puddles, she wasn't rich, she wasn't loud. She was just a cleaner trying to reach work before sunrise. But fate wears no uniform. And that morning, one splash didn't just stain her clothes, it stained a legacy.
They say life changes slowly, but sometimes it changes in one splash. I didn't scream, I didn't curse, I just stood there, soaked in mud, soaked in shame. And in that silence, I told myself, let the world whisper, I will rise.
The sky over Victoria Island was moody, heavy with the leftovers of last night's rain. Morning traffic hissed against the wet streets. On the edge of the road, where sidewalks vanish and puddles gather like forgotten dreams, a young woman walked briskly. Ebele Okoye, 23, her cleaning uniform pressed but faded, clutched her lunch bag and a pair of worn gloves. Her shoes squeaked slightly with each step, the soles thinning beneath years of silent labor. She wasn't late yet, but she moved with urgency. Brown Rock Towers, a luxury skyscraper with glass elevators and scented air, didn't tolerate delays. Suddenly, a white SUV flew around the bend. Splash! A wave of brown murky water exploded from the roadside puddle and drenched her head to toe. Ebele froze, dripping, shivering, her clean clothes now painted in shame. The SUV didn't stop, but the tinted window hissed down, just enough to reveal Temilade Temi Bakare, early 30s, draped in diamonds, lips blood red, eyes hidden behind designer sunglasses. She smirked, sipped from a green smoothie, and called out through perfect teeth, "Try walking further from the road next time, darling." Then the car sped off. No apology, no pause, just cruelty, as casual as cologne. Across the street, a black Range Rover sat idle beneath the swaying palm trees of Victoria Island. Quiet, tinted, still. Inside, a man leaned forward slightly, gaze unwavering. Daniel Odulami, early 30s, dark suit, no tie, a billionaire in silence, a man who watched before he moved. Africa's most enigmatic tycoon, Daniel rose from modest roots in Enugu to build the Odulami Group, a hospitality startup turned continental luxury empire. Reserved but razor sharp, he made decisions from the shadows, especially when justice demanded it. Those who underestimated the silent man in the corner usually regretted it. His eyes didn't leave Ebele Okoye. The splash, the laughter, the way she stood, drenched, humiliated, but unbroken. Something in her posture stirred a memory, faint, unresolved. Then he saw her, Temilade Bakare, red lips, diamond bracelet, that same arrogant tilt of the head. Daniel's jaw tensed. She hadn't changed, but what she didn't know was that this time her cruelty had an audience. He picked up his phone and spoke quietly, almost like a whisper. "Daniel, I just witnessed something. A woman, young, soaked in mud, a white SUV. The driver laughed. Find out who that girl is. Everything." Brown Rock Tower shimmered in the soft morning haze, its glass facade catching the light like a crown above Victoria Island. Ebele Okoye slipped in through the staff entrance, water still dripping from her sleeves. Her once neat uniform now clung to her skin, stained with brown streaks. The air inside smelled of imported polish and wealth. But Ebele, wet, invisible, moved like a shadow. She tried to straighten her shoulders, but her soaked shoes squeaked against the marble. Mr. Clark, mid-50s, sharp suit, sharper tongue, stood near the lobby edge, clipboard in hand. The kind of man who measured worth by polish and punctuality. He spotted her and frowned.
Well, was there a flood I wasn't informed about? You're dripping all over my floors, Miss Okoye. This isn't Mushin Market. This is Brown Rock Towers. We expect standards.
I was splashed on the road,
I'm
sir.
not interested in excuses. Cleaners arrive early. Cleaners arrive presentable. You failed on both counts. One more misstep, and you won't need to worry about this uniform anymore. Understood? Change. Now. The East Wing floors must be spotless before the clients arrive. I don't care what puddle you crawled through to get here.
He pointed toward the janitor's closet without another glance.
I didn't come here to beg. I didn't wake before sunrise to be shamed. Let the world whisper, I will rise, even in silence.
Ebele lowered her eyes. No one offered help. No one even looked at her twice. She turned away, her hair still damp, and entered the supply room. Inside, she peeled off her soaked uniform and changed into the backup she always kept tucked in the far corner. It didn't fit quite right. It never did. She tied her hair up, grabbed her mop, and stepped back out, like nothing had happened. But inside, something had shifted. As she mopped the marble, her thoughts drifted to Amara, her baby sister, still asleep in their tiny one-room flat.
Just get through today, Ebele. One more day. You can't afford to fall.
Later that day, a high-rise across from the Atlantic, glass walls, gleaming floors, silent luxury, the headquarters of Odulami Group. Inside Daniel's executive office, everything spoke in quiet elegance, smooth wood paneling, custom art, and the muted hum of Lagos below. Daniel stood by the window, arms folded, eyes distant. He hadn't stopped thinking about the girl. A knock. Tasha, late 20s, his discreet executive assistant, entered holding a folder.
You asked for her file.
Daniel turned, his face unreadable. Tasha handed him the folder. Daniel opened it. A photo slid out. Ebele Okoye. In the photo, she was smiling gently beside a little girl. Amara, age 9, bright-eyed and innocent. Tasha continued, professionally composed.
Ebele Okoye, 23. Cleaner at Brown Rock Towers for 2 years. Lives in West Pine District. One guardian to her younger sister, Amara. Mother passed in 2021. No criminal record, no social presence.
Daniel studied the photo in silence.
She's raising her sister. Alone.
Yes, sir. Father not listed.
Daniel set the photo down. He looked different, not emotional, just more alive. He tapped his fingers lightly on the desk.
She didn't ask for help, didn't scream, just kept walking.
Would you like me to reach out?
Daniel shook his head.
Not yet. Let's watch a little more.
Victoria Island. Morning light spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows of a lavish penthouse, dancing off glass chandeliers and gold-rimmed mirrors. Temila de Bakare stood in the center of it all, silk robe, emerald earrings, and a smoothie in hand. admiring her reflection like it owed her gratitude. Her phone buzzed. Again, then again. Messages stacked in her notifications. Stylists confirming fittings. Followers reposting her sun-kissed selfie. A brand request for a live stream appearance. She grinned. Untouchable, unbothered. That girl was standing too close to the road, Temilide muttered, adjusting her necklace. Honestly, she should thank me for the free exfoliation. Casey, her assistant, forced a thin smile. Right, exfoliation. Temilade didn't blink, didn't laugh. She lived in a world where cruelty was couture, dressed in elegance and delivered with charm. Her empire was built on image, not conscience. Outside, Lagos traffic moved like a heartbeat, but inside this ivory tower, Temilade was the pulse. Still, her hands trembled ever so slightly as she reached for her lip gloss. Because somewhere in the back of her mind, in that space where conscience tries to whisper, she couldn't unsee the look on Ebele's face. The mud, the silence, the dignity. The image lingered like a smudge on her mirror. But she blinked it away. Meanwhile, across town, Ebele Okoye sat on a worn crate behind the Crownville Towers, her modest uniform still slightly damp from the previous day. A slice of bread and bottled water sat on her lap. Lunch. She chewed slowly, offering a small prayer between bites. Just then, a man passed the entrance to the staff corridor. Baseball cap, sunglasses, casual, anonymous, Daniel Odulami. He wasn't supposed to be here, not like this. But his instincts had pulled him back. And now, watching Ebele, the way she ate quietly, the way her eyes kept glancing at her phone, maybe hoping her sister Amara had called, something stirred. She reminded him of someone, his mother. He turned away. But a plan was already unfolding in his mind. Not charity, justice. Quiet, powerful, undeniable. The next morning, Ebele opened her locker and froze. Inside, a small brown paper bag, a pair of new gloves, a warm sandwich wrapped in foil, and a folded note. For the girl who works with grace, even when the world is unkind. Her eyes welled. She looked around. No one watching. No one claiming it. But the kindness was real, and for the first time in weeks, she tasted something warm. Far above, in a private office, Daniel watched the security feed. His finger hovered over the screen. A small smile curved his lips. Small steps, he whispered. Brown Rock Towers. Noon. Ebele was mopping the marble lobby floors when a voice cut through the silence. The head supervisor, clipboard in hand, approached. Ebele Okoye? She straightened, wiping sweat from her brow. Ebele. Yes, sir. He didn't smile, not even a nod.
You've been reassigned. Starting tomorrow. VIP floor maintenance. Less traffic. Better pay.
Ebele blinked. Sir, I didn't apply for...
It's been approved. Don't be late.
He walked off, just like that. She stood froze, mop still in hand. Around her, whispers buzzed like flies. Staff whispering, VIP floor? Her? She must know someone upstairs. Cleaners don't get promoted like that. But Ebele said nothing. She bowed her head, whispered a thank you under her breath, and returned to her work with even more care. That night, she shared the news with Amara over their modest dinner. Amara, grinning, see, I told you, good things are coming. Maybe not loudly, but they're coming. The following day, Daniel walked the halls of Crownville in plain clothes, blending in like any other guest. His eyes followed Ebele as she polished the chrome railings on the VIP floor. She moved quietly, efficiently, never drawing attention, never seeking it. He admired her restraint, her discipline. Later that day, he stopped at the front desk. "Daniel," low voice, "I'd like my suite cleaned only by the new girl, Ebele." The concierge nodded, confused. "Of course, sir." Inside the private sky lounge, Ebele entered with her cart, slightly nervous. She expected a mess to clean. Instead, Daniel sat there, relaxed, dressed simply, reading a newspaper. He looked up, smiled gently.
No cleaning needed today.
She hesitated. "Sorry, sir?"
I just wanted to thank you for your grace the other day, the way you carried yourself.
Bailey blinked, unsure. "I was just doing my job."
You do more than that.
A silence.
Yeah, if you could do anything in the world, what would it be?
She hesitated. No one had ever asked.
I had study hospitality management, maybe run a place like this someday, but right now, surviving is the priority.
Daniel nodded. Her answer wasn't rehearsed, it was real.
Thank you for your honesty.
She bowed slightly, then left, still unsure of who he really was. But Daniel already knew. She wasn't just a cleaner. She was a seed waiting to bloom. Elsewhere, Temila de Bakari scrolled her phone. A blurry image, her SUV, a splash, a caption. Sometimes wealth erases manners before it builds influence. The post was gaining traction. Though her face was unseen, whispers were rising. Temilad, snapping. "Who's spreading this nonsense?" Her assistant Casey hovered nervously. "Casey, maybe you should apologize?" Temilad let out a cold laugh. "To a cleaner? I don't even remember her face. But that night, she slept uneasily. Because, for the first time, the mirror was showing her cracks. The rooftop garden of Brown Rock Towers shimmered under the Lagos evening sky. Ebele sat quietly, a folded letter trembling in her hands. The city lights below sparkled like hope. Daniel Odulami approached with 2 cups of cocoa. He sat beside her. No rush, no pressure. Just presence. She whispered, almost afraid to believe it. She'd been offered a full scholarship in hospitality management. Classes would begin next month. Tears threatened her eyes. She looked at Daniel and asked, "Why me?" His answer was simple, because she had never asked for anything, but she deserved everything. And in that moment, Ebele felt seen, not as a cleaner, but as a woman with a future. Not far away, hidden inside a sleek car parked under the night sky, Temilade watched, binoculars in one hand, iced coffee in the other. She saw Ebele laugh. She saw Daniel lean in, and she gripped her cup until the plastic cracked. Back in her penthouse, she scrolled through headlines on her phone. From mud to merit, the cleaner who inspired a billionaire. The word stung. She slammed the phone down, heart pounding with something unfamiliar. Jealousy. The next day, in the break room, Ebele opened her locker. Inside, fresh flowers. No card, no signature, just a silent gesture. Down the hallway, Daniel passed by and nodded. She smiled, not because of romance, but because, for once, she was respected. In the lounge, Tina couldn't hide her bitterness. The promotion, the flowers. And now, Ebele walked with quiet confidence. Tina scoffed. "What's next?" "Queen of the mop," others whispered. Some glared, but Ebele had faced worse. She kept walking. Morning, in the hotel lobby, a guest slipped on the floor. Chaos followed. A manager's voice rose, furious. "Who cleaned this section?" All fingers pointed to one name, Ebele Okoye. In the office, she stood trembling. Her voice barely held steady as she said, "I didn't do anything wrong." No one believed her. No one, except one. Inside the security office, Daniel reviewed the footage with the chief. There it was, clear as day. Tina, sabotage, justice, had eyes. Later that afternoon, Ebele was cleared. The manager apologized. She walked out quietly, but paused. Daniel stood at a distance. He said nothing, but his eyes told her, "You're not alone." In a posh office in Lek, Temilade stood over a blogger. With venom in her voice, she offered a story, fabricated and cruel. She's dating him for the money. The whole thing was planned. A stack of cash sealed the deal. That night, the post went live, and it spread like wildfire. In the staff cafeteria, Ebele sat alone, her food untouched, her phone glowing with headlines. "Cleaner catches a billionaire, gold digger or genius." Comment after comment pierced her heart. She played him well. She planned it all. She quietly packed her lunch and walked out. The next morning, Daniel stood before a sea of reporters. No press team, no cue cards, just truth. He defended her name. He spoke of her strength, her honesty, her resilience. He compared her to the woman who raised him and reminded the world, "If you think her worth is tied to my name, maybe you've forgotten what real worth looks like." The world listened. That night, a knock at Ebele's door. No one in sight, only a single red rose and a note tucked underneath. "Let the world whisper. I will always speak your truth. Daniel." She held the rose close, eyes filled with emotion. For once, she felt chosen. At her father's estate, Temilade faced her consequences. Mr. Bakare was done with excuses. "You embarrassed the family," he said. With one sentence, her world collapsed. Accounts frozen, suspended from the board. No assistance, no headlines, just silence. On a quiet rooftop bistro, Daniel pulled out a chair for Ebele. She wore a simple navy dress, no designer logos, just grace. They sat with 2 cups between them. No crowd, no flashing lights. He reached across the table. "You changed me," he said, and in her soft smile was the promise of peace. 1 year later, the grand ballroom of Brown Rock Towers gleamed, and there she was, Ebele Okoye, wearing a sky blue gown, no diamonds, no flash, but she shone brighter than anyone else. The once invisible cleaner now stood in the spotlight. "Please welcome," the announcer said, "Ebele Okoye, recipient of the Odulami Foundation Honor Award." At the podium, Ebele took a breath. A year ago, I walked in here with mud on my shoes and hope in my pocket. The room leaned in. She spoke not for herself, but for every girl who had been overlooked, for the ones who cleaned silently, carried burdens, and still smiled. "You are seen," she said. "You are powerful." And the room erupted in applause. That night, the city hummed gently around her. Ebele walked alone through the quiet streets of Lagos, the soft golden streetlights painting a path ahead. In her hand, her heels. Barefoot, she approached the place that once shattered her dignity, the muddy curb, the very spot where it all began, where her uniform was stained, where laughter followed her shame, where no one stopped to help. She stepped onto the pavement. Clean now, no more mud. She whispered to herself, "I'm leaving the last trace of who I used to be." A pause, then footsteps. Daniel appeared from the shadows, also barefoot, his suit trousers slightly dusted, his shoes in his hand. He didn't say a word. He just joined her, beside the curb, beside her pain. No wealth between them, just truth. They stood together in silence. 2 lives, 2 worlds, one quiet beginning, and then, together, they walked forward, side by side, not toward the past, but into the life they chose to build. The last light of Lagos painted the sky in warm golds and soft purples. Ebele sat on the same bench where she once cried. Only now she smiled. A single red rose rested beside her. Her old cleaner's uniform was folded neatly in a paper bag at her feet. From the rooftop stairs came the sound of soft footsteps. Amara ran up barefoot, laughing, waving a piece of paper in the air. "Mama Ebele, look, I got all A's." Ebele opened her arms, and Amara jumped into them with joy. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered, holding her close. She looked out over the glittering skyline of Lagos. "Do you know what they used to call me?" Ebele asked. They called me a cleaner." She kissed Amara's forehead gently. "But I was always more." From behind, Daniel stepped onto the rooftop, quiet, present, carrying 2 warm cups of cocoa. He didn't interrupt. He simply watched, his presence steady. Ebele stood, her hand holding Amara's, her voice low and certain. "They buried me in mud, but they didn't know I was a seed." She looked ahead and walked forward into a future she chose. Thank you for watching. This is African Tales by Nina. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more unforgettable stories.